Sir, good morning, sir.
Okay. So let us start with our discussion. I think last class we have already discussed about objective of cost accounting, isn't it?
Sorry, sir, I was not present in the last class.
Very good. Okay. So here I am sharing my screen. Just have a look. Is it visible to all of you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So last class we have already discussed about various basic terminology and some of other terminologies also we are going to discuss today. So we have also discussed about cost accounting, costing, and cost accountancy. Along with we discussed about objectives of cost accounting. Why we need to study cost accounting? So these are the reasons. First and foremost thing is to ascertain the cost. So with the help of cost accounting, we can able to know the cost of a product, cost of a service. Again, we can able to control the cost. How to control the cost? Either we can go for cost reduction techniques, or we can apply any control techniques in order to minimize the cost of the product or service. Again, another objective of cost accounting is to provide the information for decision making. So who will take the decision? Definitely the top level management, always there at the top in order to take the various decision of the business. So whenever they are taking the decision, they need some sort of information, or you can say some sort of base. So cost accounting provides the entire cost information to the management. So who is the management will take the decision, whether it is going to produce or not to produce, whether it is going to buy some material or not to buy the material. So cost accounting provide information for decision making. Again, to determine the selling price. So whenever we are going to determine the selling price of any product or service, so we must know the cost of that product or service. With the help of cost accounting, we can able to ascertain the cost of a product or cost of a service, through which we can able to fix the selling price by keeping a certain percentage of margin. So again, cost accounting help us to know the costing profit during our what we can say classification of cost, or wherever we are going to ascertain the cost with the preparation of statement of cost sheet, we can able to know what is the costing profit. This is not accounting profit, that is financial accounting profit. Simply we can say this is the costing profit. How we are minimizing the cost so that we can able to enhance the costing profit. So that is also another objective of cost accounting. Next, we are going to discuss about other terminologies which are used in cost accounting also. First one is cost unit. So whenever we are talking about cost unit, simply we are going to find out the unit cost of a product or unit cost of the service. Okay, so it is a unit of a product, service, or time in terms of which cost may be ascertained or cost may be expressed. So let's say you are a manufacturer of a particular pen. So if I'll ask what is the unit cost of that particular pen, so first what you are doing in a lot size of your production, what is the number of pen or what is the quantity of pen you are producing? Let's say you are producing 5,000 pens at a time. So for production of 5,000 pens, you need to incur 50,000 of cost. So your total cost is 50,000, and total pen produced by you is 5,000. So 50,000 divided by 5,000 will be 10 rupees. So that 10 rupees is the cost unit, we can say. It is the unit cost of a product. So unit of a product, service, or time in terms of which cost may be ascertained or cost may be expressed. Per pen, we are saying 10 rupees, or it may be like your weight per kilo, per gram. So these are the cost unit. So it is a unit of measurement like number, weight, time, area, Sometimes we are providing, let's say you are providing rent per hour. So here per hour is the timing. Area, whenever you are taking any a particular place for your office or for your shop, you are paying on the basis of area, like square foot per square foot. What is the rent? Isn't it? So this is known as the cost unit. What is the purpose or objective of this cost unit? Objective is to express the cost per unit. The objective of cost unit is to express cost per unit. Cost per square feet, cost per square kilometer, cost per pen, cost per kilo, cost per ton. So these all are examples of cost unit. Okay. So let us proceed to next. So next is about what are the types of cost units. So cost unit may be single cost unit or it may be composite cost unit. Single cost unit, we have already taken the example, like per ton, per kilo, per pen. So in single cost unit, these are used in manufacturing industries particularly. Very good example is like a ton of coal, a ton of steel, or you can say per unit of production, like per unit pen. Okay, so these are the examples of single cost unit. Again, composite cost units are also there. So these are used in service industry. Please remember, single cost units are used in manufacturing industry, but composite cost units are used in service industries. That means non-manufacturing industries. Very good example is like your per passenger per kilometer. Again, per bed per day. So these are the example of cost per unit. Okay. So these examples are known as your composite cost per unit. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
So these are the various types of unit, cost unit. Again, another terminologies which we generally used in cost accounting is that is cost center. So whenever we are talking about cost center, that means simply it indicates a particular location, particular thing, or you can say particular item of expenditure. Okay. So it is a location, person, or item of expenditure for which cost may be ascertained and used for the purpose of cost control. It may be a particular person, it may be a particular location, it may be a particular place or a location, or you can say particular department also. Why we are considering this as one of the cost center? Because our intention is to know the amount of costs incurred in that particular cost center in order to control the cost. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let us take one example of cost center. Cost center may be one department. Let's say you are the production manager of your department. That is production department. That means you are responsible. You are the key component of that particular department about the amount of cost incurred in that particular department. Okay. So in production department, let's say production department, your total amount of cost in a particular period is 50,000. So 50,000, we can ascertain the cost of production department in this particular period is 50,000. Once you are fixing that production department as the cost center. Sometimes we are fixing the production manager as the cost center. Why? Because production manager has to control the cost. Because production manager is the key component. Here we can fix some responsibility in order to control the cost. So it is a location, person, or item of expenditure for which cost may be ascertained or used for the purpose. Okay.
Okay.
Very good. So, what is the purpose? Purpose is to control the cost. Once we are fixing the responsibility, that since you are production manager, the top level may ask you why the cost is more in this particular period. Yes or no? So, in order to control the cost, we need to identify the cost center. So, in order to fix the responsibility of the cost of the person for controlling the cost, we need to also consider the cost center. So cost center is a production, service location, a function. It may be an activity or an item of equipment. It may be a particular machine also. Cost center. So we can able to know what is the total amount of cost incurred by that particular machine in a particular period, particular time period. So examples of cost center, as I have already told you, it may be a particular person, it may be a department, it may be a machine, it may be a particular project, or it may be a particular word also. So these are the various types of cost center generally we are using in the business. So it may be personal cost center, service cost center, production cost center. Production department may be one cost center, operation cost center, process cost center, because whenever we are producing the goods or service, whenever we are producing the goods, actually physical tangible goods, it passes through various processes also.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
How machine is a cost center?
How machine is a particular cost center. You can
Yes,
fix that cost center. The main objective of cost center is to ascertain the cost of a particular activity, particular person, or particular thing. So here, let's say one particular item is machine. You are saying how a machine can be treated as a particular cost center. So whenever we are fixing that machine as the cost center, we can able to ascertain what is the amount of cost incurred in that particular machine within a particular period, so that we can able to know whether the cost incurred by the particular machine is more or less. On the basis of that, you can able to take some precautionary measure, or sometimes you can also able to take some measures in order to control the cost of that machine. Okay, so let's say the machine fuel consumption is more, or the maintenance is more. So here, maintenance cost, fuel consumption. So these are the part of the cost of the machine whenever you are running a particular machine. So if you are fixing that particular machine as the cost center, then you can able to identify what is the cost incurred by that particular machine in that particular period. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So cost center is not like it is a particular person or particular department. It may be a particular thing also. Particular thing, like in our day-to-day life, if you are using a particular car or particular vehicle, your vehicle may be a particular cost center, because what are the costs associated, or what are the maintenance costs of your car, you can able to know. Let's say per year your car needs 10,000 for maintenance cost. So you can able to know 10,000 is my maintenance cost. If in a particular year your maintenance cost is more than 10,000, you can able to know why 10,000, more than 10,000 is the cost, maintenance cost of my car. So here, wherever you are talking about your car, that means that particular car you are fixing as the cost center. What is the intention, or what is the objective? Your objective is to ascertain the cost incurred in that particular cost center. Okay.
Okay.
So the types of cost center may be, it may be personal, service, production, operation, process, and impersonal. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Next one is cost object. What is cost object actually? So a cost object is any activity for which a separate measurement of cost is undertaken. Separate measurement of cost is undertaken. That means what? Cost object is to find out the cost of a cost center. We are using the cost object to find out a cost of the cost center. It may be cost of a product, cost of a service, or cost of running a particular department, particular machine, cost of running a particular office. So this may be the cost object. So these are the various terminologies categorically we are using in cost accounting. Next, we are going to discuss about the classification of cost. Otherwise, you can say the various types of cost actually. So whenever we are going for classification of the cost, so we are arranging the items in a logical way by taking some basis or by taking some parameters. On the basis of that parameter, we can able to classify the cost. So what are the parameters or what are the base through which we can able to classify the cost? Someone is asking something, I hope. No?
No, sir, he is unmuted, sir.
Okay. Background noises are also coming. So please mute yourself. If you want to ask any query, you can unmute and you can ask. Otherwise, mute yourself, please. So these are the various parameters through which we can able to classify the cost. Please remember, it may be element, it may be their nature, it may be functions, or other parameters are also there through which we can able to classify the cost. So let us discuss one by taking all these parameters. Okay, so let us take the first parameter or first base, that is element. On the basis of element, the cost may be material cost, labor cost, and overhead cost. Okay, material cost, labor cost, and overhead cost. So let us take this particular product. Here, product is the car. I hope you have already seen this particular image in this slide. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
when any automobile company is manufacturing the car, it needs some material, it needs some labor, and it needs some expenses also. So these materials, again, these material, labor, and expenses may be direct material, indirect material, direct labor, indirect labor, or direct expenses, indirect expenses. Okay. So this is the product. So here we are simply we are classifying the cost of this product on the basis of the element, because we are using the element. First element or first component is raw material. We are using the raw material in order to manufacture this particular product. So here product is the car. Again, we are paying certain wages. We are also paying a certain amount of wages to whom? To the laborer or worker, those who are working inside the factory. That is the direct labor. Again, we are also paying certain amount of expenses. These are known as overheads. Manufacturing overheads, or otherwise we are also calling it as factory overheads. Factory overheads. So these overheads are nothing but these are the expenses incurred by the factory or manufacturing units, like your electricity charges, or if you are running your factory on rent basis, sometimes we are paying the factory rent. So these all are part of the manufacturing overhead. So direct material means what? Raw material that become an integral part of the product and that can be easily traceable. Direct material are those materials which can be easily traceable. Okay, but indirect materials cannot be easily traceable. So examples here we can say that the tire, since we have already taken the product as the car, the tire of the car is the direct material. We can directly identify that a tire is required in case of car. So that is the raw material. That is the raw material, means direct raw material, and that is integral part. Without tire, we cannot run the car. We cannot drive the car, isn't it? We cannot say that car is the finished product without tire. So tire will be there. So it is required. You can say tire, or you can say your steering, or you can say your body of the car. So these all are the direct material. These are the integral part of the car, and we can easily traceable all these materials. So these materials are known as direct materials. So Direct material cost may be there. Again, direct labor. Direct labor means what? Those labor costs that can be easily traced to individual unit of product. So here individual unit is car. So for individual unit of product, we can able to trace the cost for the labor. So here wages paid to automobile assembly workers. Let's say one worker or one mechanic is there who is assembling by taking all the parts of the car. Okay, so we are paying wages to them. So these wages are known as direct labor cost. Direct labor cost. And another component is also there, component or elements of cost, that is your manufacturing overhead. Manufacturing cost that cannot be easily traced. In previous case, that means in case of direct labor, in case of direct material, the cost can be easily traced out. But here, in case of manufacturing overhead, we are saying the cost cannot be easily traced directly to specific units produced. Whenever we are producing specific unit, let's say here we are producing car in this particular example. So these manufacturing overheads we cannot trace easily, that means directly, to this particular car. Examples are indirect materials and indirect labor. Indirect materials and indirect labors are the part of manufacturing overhead. What are the indirect labor or indirect material? So look here, indirect materials are used to support the production process. These are not the integral part of the product, but these are used to support the production process. Very good example, like your lubricants and cleaning supplies used in the automobile for assembling the parts. So before, whenever you are going to assemble the parts, let's say you are cleaning the parts, or sometimes you are using also some lubricants like some oils or some grease. Okay, so these are the indirect materials. Again, indirect wages like your wages paid to employees who are not directly involved in the production work. Let's say the worker is assembling the car, but here supervisor is there, or security guard of the factory is there. So security guard is not assembling the car, but we are paying the security guard cost. So these are the indirect cost. Indirect cost. So the aggregation of indirect cost is otherwise known as overhead. Please remember. So here manufacturing costs are those costs, or manufacturing overhead are those overhead that cannot be easily traced directly to specific units produced. So on the basis of element, there are three types of cost. What are those? First one is direct material, second one is direct labor, and third one is manufacturing overhead. Is it clear?
Yes.
Or simply
Yes,
we can say material, labor, and overhead. These
Yes, sir.
three,
Yes, sir.
material, labor, and overhead, these three are the types of cost or classification of cost on the basis of element. So what are the other types of cost? Let us see. So classification of cost on the basis of purpose. So this can be grouped according to the reasons for which they have been incurred. Okay. So on the basis of purpose, the cost may be direct cost or the cost may be indirect cost. So what is direct cost? A cost which is related to a particular cost objective and can trace to in an economically feasible way. That means we can able to trace this cost of a particular cost objective. So just before, we have already discussed what is particular cost object or cost objective. Cost objective object is used to measure the cost of a cost center. So here cost center we are taking as a particular item or particular person or particular, you can say, thing. Yes or no? So a cost which is related to a particular cost objective and can be traced to it in an economical feasible way are the direct cost.
Yes, sir.
So let's say we are producing some bakery products. That means here what we are using, there are some costs which are directly traceable. in an economical feasible way. Like whenever we are producing bakery products, we are using some raw materials. We are again using some labor. We are again using some other components which can be directly feasible. So these are the direct cost. These are the direct cost. We can able to trace it out. We can able to identify those costs in an economical feasible way. In an economical feasible way. Okay. In case of bakery product, let's say you are making bread. So whenever you are making the bread, what is the amount of flour you are using? You can able to find out whether you are using 5 kgs, 10 kgs or 1 quintal, like those. So what is the amount of cost of your flour, or amount of cost of your edible oil, amount of cost of the sugar? So this can be easily traceable. So these are the direct costs. Again, indirect cost means what? A cost which is related to a particular cost objective but cannot be traced to it. We cannot easily trace to it in an economical way. So indirect costs are allocated to cost objectives. Indirect costs are allocated to cost objectives. So in a particular factory, let's say we are operating 5 machines. 5 machines. So for operating 5 machines, we need electricity. Yes or no? For operating 5 machines, we need electricity.
Yes, sir.
If those machines are electric machines. So let's say we are taking one connection of electricity. So in a particular month, the entire amount of electricity bill is 50,000. So 50,000 is the electricity charges. So how you will charge those electricity charges to these 5 machines? How you will charge? Can you tell me how you will charge the electricity cost? मासरे आपण 50,000 टंका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी भडा दउछंती सेतिरे आपण 5टा मशीन आपनकर फैक्ट्री अछि केमिति आपण को मशीन मु कहबी गोटे मशीन को केते आपण चार्ज करबे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हाउ यू विल से
The entire cost will be divided by the number.
Entire cost divided by
Number the 5 units.
number of machines.
Yes, sir.
Is it sure?
It's an average cost.
Yes, sir.
Average.
Sir, it will be allocated to cost of machine.
It will be
Allocated to cost of the machine.
allocated to the cost of how you will allocate. That is my question.
So should we we have to calculate how many machines are there?
Yeah, 5 machines are there in this particular example. I have already mentioned 5 machines are there.
So how
With
many
respect to
hours
running
that
time,
machine
running
used
time.
that also?
How many hours? Okay.
How fast one machine is producing the product?
Okay. Actually, some of you may be from the electrical BTech, that means electrical engineers or electronics engineers. You people know better than me about some watts.
Running time and
some
kilowatt
volts we are
hour.
using. Yeah, nahi. So on the basis of actually watt also sometimes we are paying. Let's say one machine is consuming 2000 watts or 5000 watts. Another machine is consuming only 50 watts. So in a particular month, what is the consumption by a particular machine? You have to identify by taking the unit of the electricity. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
then only you can able to allocate the cost. Otherwise, if 5 machines are there, 5टा machine रो 3टा machine हमें ऑपरेट करना है, बा 3टा machine को हमें 15 दिन ऑपरेट करछन 15 दिन करना है. So सही case रे will face difficulty. Okay. So
Yes.
we have to identify whether it is measured in terms of watt or volt. You know, if some of you may be from electrical background. So on the basis of that unit, you just find out what is the cost, and in a particular machine, what is the units of that cost used. So in this way, we can able to find out the cost. So here, this is one example of indirect cost. This is one example of indirect cost.
Yeah, this
able
is
to trace.
the indirect expenses. Yes.
Indirect expenses. मु जेतबेले पचरछि आपन को के कहउछि आगे नंबर ऑफ मेसेज डिवाइड करिया के कहउछि आगे केते फास्ट चलुछि मेसेज देखिबा के कहउछि केते आवर चलुछि देखिबा जे टेक्निकल तार एस्पेक्ट जानी छी से कहबे जे नहीं एति की वर्ड नहीं के ही हमें ये करबा बुझौ छ ना नहीं
Yes,
इन
sir.
multi branding store you have seen multi branding store yes or no central
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Centro
Yes, sir.
Pantaloons. So these are the multi branding stores. So multiple brands are available. So you have seen each and every brands they have already taken some particular area. So for each and every brand they are also paying certain amount of rent to the shopping mall owner. Okay, so if you are going to Pantaloons, let's say in Pantaloons Levi's is there. In Pantaloons, let's say Blackberries is also there. So for Blackberries, some area used by Blackberries. There you can able to find out the articles of Blackberries, and some area that is also used by this the Levi's. Here only you can able to find out the Levi's products, Levi's jeans, shorts, t-shirts, etc. Yes or no? So there, how you can able to find out what at what proportion or what amount the cost will be paid by the Levi's or cost will be paid by the Blackberries or cost will be paid by other brands. So simply by using the floor area. So this is also one example of indirect cost. Okay. So on the
Yes, sir.
basis of purpose or objective, the cost may be direct cost or it may be indirect cost. So direct cost, it can be traced easily. Indirect cost, we have to allocate. We cannot trace. Okay. So this is direct and indirect cost. Again, cost may be material cost, labor cost, and expenses cost on the basis of the element we have already discussed. I have already told you the material, labor, and expenses may be direct and indirect. The summation of indirect component, that means indirect labor, indirect material, indirect expenses, the summation of all those expenses is known as the overheads. Okay. So I'll discuss in detail whenever we will discuss the statement of cost in our next class. But for the timing, you just remember these are the classification of cost on the basis of the material also. That is not on the basis of material, on the basis of element. Okay, cost may be your material cost, labor cost, or expenses cost. Let us see. So how we can able to classify the cost on the basis of functions. So these are the various functions that are performed by an organization, isn't it? Various functions like production, administration, selling and distribution. So these all are various functions. On the basis of functions, we can also classify this type of cost, like your production cost, administration cost, selling and distribution cost. Okay, so these are the various classification of cost on the basis of the function. Administration cost, like your salary of your office manager, office rent, okay, office stationery. So these all are part of the administration cost. Again, selling and distribution cost. For selling and distribution cost, whenever you are selecting a particular channel in order to push your product into the market or distribute your product. Again, advertisement cost. Okay, salesman's salary. So these all are coming under selling and distribution cost. So this the cost may be production, administration, selling and distribution cost on the basis of functions, because these are the various functions that are performed by an organization. So on the basis of functions, it may be selling cost or it may be administrative cost. So cost necessary to secure the order and deliver the product. So whenever we are selling the product, first we are accepting the order. So in order to secure the order, sometimes we are also receiving some advance, that is known as your ordering cost. And whenever you are delivering the product, you need to take some parcel charges, or you can say transportation cost. These are part of selling cost. Administrative cost, as I have already told you, all executive, organizational and clerical cost are coming under administrative cost. Okay. So these are the various types of cost on the basis of functions. Again, on the basis of changing in the activity or on the basis of changing in the volume, the cost may be variable cost, fixed cost, and mixed cost. Mixed cost means semi-variable cost. Please remember. So, on the basis of your changing of activity or changing of volume, the cost may be variable cost, fixed cost, or it may be mixed cost. That is your semi-variable cost.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us understand what are those type of costs. So these are on the basis of activity and volume. Please remember, this is the parameter or base. Activity means, let's say, or volume I can say. Whenever you are producing one unit of product, and whenever you are producing 500 unit of product. So in the two cases, cost will be different or cost will be same.
Different.
Sir, sorry, sir. This is good morning. Can please?
यूनिट आपण जदी प्रोडक्शन करूछंती जति कॉस्ट हबो 500 यूनिट प्रोडक्शन करले सेति की कॉस्ट हबो.
No, sir. No, sir. There will be variable.
But there are certain costs which may be same. There are certain costs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Which
Some
may
cost
vary.
fixed cost that will be same. Variable cost will be variable.
Very good. So, ये जो केस रे हमें कहले, both the cases, यदि 1 unit production करिबा 500 unit production करिबा, sometimes the cost will same. These are known as fixed costs.
Fixed costs.
Okay. And
Like rent.
when the cost is changing, the component of cost which is changing, that is known as variable cost.
Yes, sir.
The component of cost which is partly changing and partly not changing, that is known as semi-variable cost.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So semi-variable cost ର ଗୋଟେ example ଦେଇପାରିବେ?
କଣ କହିଲେ?
Semi-variable cost ର example?
Definitely. ठीक अछि. गोटे हमें particular product मने करा नबा. Okay. Particular product like bakery. से bakery product नबा. आपण गोटे पाउरुटी जदी आपण प्रोडक्शन करूचंती, लेट से गोटे पाउरुटी पई आपणकर रॉ मटेरियल कॉस्ट होची 10 टंका. जदि 100 टा पाउरुटी आपण तयारी करिवे केते रॉ मटेरियल लागिवो? Are you getting my point? बुझी परचंदी ना नहीं मु कोन कहूची आपण गोटिए पाउरुटी माने बुझछन तो ब्रेड पर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ 1 ब्रेड you need 10 rupees.
Yes, sir.
raw material माने बुझछन तो तार जो फ्लोर बा edible oil, sugar, salt, etc. These are the raw material. Okay. Total cost of raw material is 10 rupees. For production of 100 breads, what is the total cost of raw material?
100.
1000.
1000.
Very good. How did you get?
100 into 10.
1000 into 10, that is variable. That means when the volume is changing, when the activity is changing, the cost is changing. Are you getting? That is variable cost.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say that bread you are producing in a particular factory. Yes or no?
Yes.
The bread you are producing in a particular factory. The factory rent per month, the factory rent is 10,000. If you are producing 1 unit of bread, how much rent will you pay to your owner?
10,000.
It will be fixed cost.
If you are producing 100 units of bread, what is the rent you will pay?
10,000.
10,000.
10,000.
Are you getting? That is fixed. That is fixed. That means whatever may be your volume of production or changing of your activity, the cost will not change. It will remain fixed for a certain period, certain level. Okay, that is fixed cost. Very good example. I have already taken the rent. Mixed cost, semi-variable cost. In semi-variable cost, in that particular factory, you are using electricity? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Sir, basically it's dependent decreasing your budget volume.
If you are producing in electricity for production of 1 bread, let's say you are running your oven for 5 minutes. For production of 100 breads, automatically the time will be more. Yes or no?
Yes,
When the
sir.
time
Yes,
will
sir.
be more, the electricity consumption, the unit of electricity consumed by the machine will be also more.
Yes, sir.
मने करंतु let's say I am taking very simple example, that is electricity charges. Electricity charges. In electricity charges, actually, I am taking what? Let's say for production of 1 unit of bread, you need 1 unit of electricity. For production of 100 unit of bread, how much unit of electricity you need to consume?
100 unit.
Very good. Excellent. Sometimes, let's say during lockdown, you have already witnessed corona. We all have witnessed corona or COVID very recently. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So during lockdown, let's say your total factory is also under lockdown. Total factory is closed. Still then you are paying some electricity charges. Yes or no? What is that?
Fixed,
What is that?
fixed cost.
Fixed.
Meter rent. बुझीपारछन ना आपण जो घरे रहउछन से घर को ताला पके देबे 3 मास पई पळेबे बा मासे पई पळेबे आसिला बेडू कहयो मु तो गोटे सिंगल यूनिट इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम करिनी मोर काई की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल आसीबो because you have to pay the meter rent which is fixed.
Minimum charge.
Minimum charges 200 or 250 rupees, that is the meter rate, that is fixed per month. Beyond that, whenever you are consuming the number of units, on the basis of the number of units you are paying the rent, electricity rent. Yes or no?
Yes.
So electricity charges is good example of semi variable cost. That means partly fixed, meter rent is fixed, and rest of the part, whenever we are consuming more, we have to pay more. If we are consuming less, we have to pay less.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All of you, did you understand?
Yes,
The
sir.
fixed cost, variable
Yes,
cost,
sir.
as well as mixed cost or semi-variable cost. Okay. So this is the example of variable cost. Another example you can also take, that is your variable cost varies in total in direct proportion to changes of your level of activities. Your total texting bill is based on how many texts you send. Nowadays, actually, it is fixed. Yes or no? Once we are charging, let's say 700 or 800 rupees at a time, we are using up to a period of 84 days. Isn't it? So your total texting bill, let's say within that you can use 100 messages per day. So per message, let's say 1 rupees. So for 100 messages, you have to pay 100 rupees. If you are using more messages, you need to pay more. If you are using less messages, you need to pay less. So this is the variable cost. Again, fixed cost means that is fixed. That is fixed. So monthly cell phone contract fees. If you are taking some what you can say cell phone, sometimes you need to pay the contract fees. That is your telephone rate. Otherwise, it is known as telephone rate. So a fixed cost is constant within the relevant range, or cost which remain fixed in total with changes in the volume of total output for a given period of time. Then tariff will be changed. Tariff will be changed. Nowadays, whenever we are using the data in internet also, data in mobile phone, let's say up to 2 GB, it's free. But above 2 GB, up to 2 GB, it is fixed. If you are consuming 0, you need to pay the same. If you are consuming 2, up to 2, that is same. But beyond 10, sorry, beyond 2 GB, if you are consuming, then you have to pay. If your slab is 2 GB,
Yes.
if your slab is 5 GB, then accordingly the tariff will be changed. So this is fixed cost. Semi-variable cost means what? Partly vary and partly fixed, as you know. So semi-variable costs are those costs which are partly fixed and partly vary. Here we can take the example of electricity. Okay, so whenever we are using electricity, sometimes we are paying some meter rent kind of thing. Or if you are using telephone, sometimes we are paying telephone rent, monthly rent of the telephone, and rest of the amount we are paying on the basis of our use. Okay, so if we are not using telephone at all, then you need to pay the monthly rate. Yes or no? If you are using the phone, Per unit again you have to pay. Now we are using mobile phones. Before that, telephones were there. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
ଆଗରୁ କଣ ଥିଲା ସବୁ ଟେଲିଫୋନ ଥିଲା ନା ନାହିଁ ସେ ଟେଲିଫୋନ ରେ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି ନା କନେକ୍ସନ ଯେତେବେଳେ ନେବେ ଆପଣ ମନ୍ଥଲି ଟେଲିଫୋନ ରେଟ୍ ଦେବେ ଯେମିତି ଇଲେକ୍ଟ୍ରିସିଟି ରେଟ୍ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ତାପରେ ଯେତେ ମିନିଟ ଆପଣ କଥା ହେବେ per minute basis ରେ ଆପଣଙ୍କର compute ହବ bill at the end of the month you have to pay the electricity telephone bill on the basis of that.
Yes.
Okay,
Awesome.
Yes, sir.
very good. So again on the basis of nature the cost may be product cost or it may be period cost. So product costs are manufacturing costs which are accumulated as inventories. It includes direct material, direct labor and direct overheads. Okay, product cost means what? These are those costs which are associated with the product. These are associated with the product. Let's say mobile phone. If you are manufacturing mobile phone, for manufacturing mobile phone you need raw material. That is direct material. You need direct labor. Sometimes you need also direct expenses. So the composition of all in order to get this product is known as product cost. Up to sale, these products are shown and valued as inventory and they form a part of the balance sheet. So simply we can say product costs are the inventory cost. That means stock of goods. Stock of goods. But there are certain costs which are known as period costs. Period costs are the costs which are relating to a particular period. So here period means what? Time duration. Period means time duration. So these are all other costs of operating the business. Expense in the accounting period they are incurred. Example is like your general administrative expenses, like your monthly salary of the office manager. Monthly salary of the office manager. Whether the office is in a holiday or not, but the manager will get the monthly salary. Emiti nahi charita Sunday, so charita Sunday katti ki ame manager ko salary deuchandi ki? Are you getting my point? So we are paying on monthly basis, or sometimes we are also paying some fees for selling purpose, like your advertisement cost. Advertisement cost for a period of 1 year you are paying, let's say, advertisement cost. So advertisement cost is the period cost. Okay, so period costs are all other costs of operating the business. Expense in the accounting period they are incurred. So here accounting period is 1 year. Accounting period is 1 year. It is a particular period. Is it okay? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Sir, sir, can you
Sir,
please?
can we say product cost is direct cost and period cost is indirect cost, sir?
Period cost, that can be.
Yes, sir.
Look here, what are the costs we are classifying now? Interchangeably we are using. Wherever
Yes,
we are taking the decision about how to control the cost, interchangeable we are using. You cannot say that the overheads, all the indirect costs, segregation of indirect costs are known as overhead. So here period cost will not be coming under overhead. So here you can say period cost, product cost is the variable cost. I can say period cost is the fixed cost because it is fixed for a particular period. That may be also there.
Sir, can you please come again for mixed cost?
Which one?
Mixed cost.
Mixed cost means partly vary and partly fixed.
cost plus variable.
So that
So
means you
fixed-
can say, sir, if I'm not wrong, you can say mixed costs are the cost that contains both a person of both, I mean variable and fixed cost, right?
Yes, yes.
Variable and fixed cost, definitely.
Both, right?
Some persons belong to fixed and some persons belongs to variable.
Yes, sir. Got it now. Okay, sir. Thanks.
Is it fine? Did you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes,
Very
sir.
We are getting, sir.
Sir, got it, sir.
So let's proceed to next. Next, on the basis of controllability, the cost may be controllable cost, again uncontrollable cost. So what are controllable costs? Which can be controlled. These are controlled by management, like labor and direct expenses. But there are some costs, they cannot be controlled by the management or any group or any people. Any people, like let's say production manager, you are the production manager, whatever the steps you are taking, but you cannot able to control it. So these are the example of like your rent of a building, salaries, and other indirect expenses. Other indirect expenses. Okay, so these are uncontrollable. Uncontrollable, beyond our control. That will happen. If we are taking any building on rent basis, whether we are producing or not producing, whether we are using that building or not using, but we have to pay. So uncontrollable here, you can say that is fixed. That is fixed. If you are using some fuel, let's say fuel, sometimes fuel may be evaporate. So because of evaporation, there may be some sort of normal losses that cannot control. That cannot control. That may be there. Okay. So on the basis of controllability, there are controllable costs and uncontrollable costs. Controllable costs are those costs which can be controlled by the management, controlled by the people, controlled by the head of the department. But uncontrollable costs are those costs which cannot be influenced or cannot be managed by the head of the department or people.
Like depreciation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whether you are using or not using, but you have to pay.
Yes.
The cost will be there.
Yes, sir.
आजिकार डेट रे आमे गोटे vehicle नौचंती जदि वर्षे आमे यूज करिवानी ताको आनिकी सेमति हम गैरेज भितर रखी देले वर्षे परे ताको आमे यूज करिवा आमे कहबा हम गाड़ी नुआ अछि. Is it sure?
No, sir. Because depreciation will be applied and that will under indirect expense.
That is uncontrollable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there are some, let's say you are taking a building or constructing a particular new building. So per year you are charging also dilapidation expenses. Like जेतोळे आमे building नौचंती तार natural loss किछि हबो.
Yes, sir.
कोन हबो गोटे वर्ष यूज कला परे तार रंग रे फिका पडिबो. ना
Yes.
नाही.
Yes,
Outside
maintenance.
building रे कोन हबो wall damage हबो.
Yes,
Is it?
maintenance cost as.
So these are uncontrollable costs. These happens due to natural factors.
Yes.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Got
Yes,
it.
sir.
Again, on the basis of normality, there may be normal cost and abnormal cost. Normal costs are regular costs. What are the steps you are taking? This will happen. Okay. Like your repairs, maintenance, salary paid to employees. These are the normal costs. There are some costs which are known as your abnormal in nature. So this happens due to some accidents or some unwanted incident, like destruction due to fire, shutdown of machinery, lockouts. Because of that, some cost may be there. So that is abnormal cost. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And again, on the basis of accounting period, the cost may be your capital cost and revenue cost.
Yes, sir.
Capital cost are otherwise known as capital expenditure.
Yes, sir.
Revenue cost are otherwise known as revenue expenditure. On the basis of time, there may be some historical cost. Historical cost is known as your acquisition cost. Before 10 years, you have already purchased a particular car. Its cost was 5 lakhs. So that 5 lakhs we are considering as the car cost. On the basis of that, we are charging depreciation and we are charging other things also. That is historical cost. Again, predetermined cost. Predetermined cost means estimated cost that they are computed in advance of the production taking into consideration. Sometimes these predetermined costs are known as also budgeted costs. This predetermined cost we are also using in our day-to-day life. Because in our family, when our mother is making the family monthly budget, এই মাসরে বাবাଙ୍କର salary ଆସିବ ଏତିକି salary ঠিক ଅଛି 15000 ଟଙ୍କାରେ ଆମର ରାସନ ଆସିବ. Our mother has to decide in our home, yes or no? So that is predetermined cost. ଏତିକି ଖାଇବା ପାଇଁ ରାସନ ଆସିବ. These are the cost of the ration. So that is predetermined, budgeted. So ଯେତେବେଳେ exactly ତମେ ଯାଇକି ଯେତେବେଳେ shopping mall ବା ଯେକୌଣସି ତମେ କିରାନା store ରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲ କିଛି cost ବଢି ବି ପାରେ. ବଢିବ ନା ନାହିଁ?
Yes.
अरे लास्ट मंथ रे टमाटो केजी थिला 20 टंका एबे
Yes.
टमाटो केजी 100 टंका बढिबोनी.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That is predetermined cost. So these are the elements of cost I have already discussed: material, labor, and expenses. So this is the difference between financial accounting and cost accounting. So next class we will discuss this one and we will proceed to statement of cost.
Yes, sir.
How to prepare the cost sheet we'll see. So any doubt or any query?
Previous slide, please.
Sir, previous
slide.
slide, please. Yes.
This one. So if you have any doubt or any query, you can ask now. No?
No, sir, it's
No,
clear
sir.
from my end. This is Subrat question.
No queries. I just need to remember these things.
Okay. So I hope it is clear to all of you. So let us wind up the session for today. So thank you everyone for joining with me. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe and
Thank you,
safe.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you.